I'm Alexandra Kreis, and you're listening to Outer Travel in a Journey. In my own search for self-understanding, I have met people from all walks of life. I bring to you a taste of these encounters. Welcome to Outer Travel Inner Journey. On my show today, I'm talking to Marcelo Valansi. Valansi, yes. Hello, Marcelo. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having me here.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Marcelo is here today to talk with me about how he founded a community in Costa Rica near San Mateo, but it's more or less in the jungle. That's what I was trying to find the word for, right? It's right in the jungle. It's in the middle of nowhere, so to speak, right?
We are not in the middle of nowhere. Like we are like an hour outside the city. It used to be a cow farm.
Cow
and
farm, yeah.
pretty much what we work on was the regeneration of the land, restoring the land, restoring the ecosystem, making the wildlife come back, the soil come back, the trees coming back, and now it's a forest. So we are in the jungle, but it was in 10, 12 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So this is the subject of today's podcast. If, dear listener, if you're interested to see how somebody came to change around his life and became a landowner and building a permaculture culture with how many lots are there on that land? 100?
We are 45 families from 29 different countries.
Yes. So a huge challenge on different levels, obviously. Yeah, that is my very, very first question. This is the how and why, Marcelo. What drove you to do that? What was your turning point?
I mean, I can say that there was one turning point. It was more a journey, and in that journey there were many turning points. I was born in Argentina and in a big city in Buenos Aires. So I had a very big disconnection from nature. Nature was this place that I would go once in a while, weekends or holidays, and spend a little time. And it's like, most of the memories that I have, the happiest memories I have from childhood are in nature.
Yeah.
But I haven't spent that much time, and I knew I didn't like the city, but I didn't know anything different, because when you're born in an environment, unless you live and experience something else, that's what you're used to and stay with it. So, I had a complete disconnection, not only from nature, but from food, like what kind of, like where the food comes from, or like how is it raised, how, like what is really healthy. And when you buy everything and comes in a box, in a package, and don't really know where, like how a banana or a papaya grows, or like I even had a friend that we were traveling together, and he didn't even know that the milk came from cows.
Right.
So
I don't want to ask around the young kids in Berlin here. I think a lot of them don't know that either, where, maybe not the milk, but a lot of like, where do apples come from, or bananas, they have no clue. So it seems to be the way the world is developing in one direction, but also in the other, as you kind of discovered that is something that was lacking from your life. Yeah.
Not only there was this disconnection from food, but also disconnection from people. Like we live around many people. Like I used to live in a building with 30, 40 floors.
Yeah.
There were many people living there, but I didn't even know my neighbors. Like my next door neighbor, I didn't know anyone
Yeah.
or anything. So it was a big, um, like really disconnection and lack of community.
Yeah.
And I, like part of, like, when I had the chance after I finished high school, I left with a backpack and went traveling around the world. And I visit ancient communities. I visit, and you could see the difference on the culture.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but the Argentinians, they do have indigenous tribes still, don't they? I mean, I haven't really
very,
researched that
very rare. Like
country.
they were killed by, yeah, all the conquerors
Yes.
and ones. So
Okay.
there are not many tribes left, but there are many places around the world that you can find, in Africa, in the Amazons, in
Mm-hmm.
um, near North America, in certain places that they are more like, you can find some tribes
Mm-hmm.
that they kept their wisdom, um, and also new communities that were forming, and I saw nature, like it was the first chance that I had to connect with nature, and
Yeah.
at the same time seeing what we are doing as a species, and how we are deploying, like destroying all these natural environments for
Mm.
greed,
Mm.
and like keeping up with a lifestyle that is not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
a big issue that's coming up again and again.
yeah, it's coming up again and again, and we are not doing enough, and we keep consuming
Mm.
as if the planet can support that forever. And
Mm.
um, it's, for me, it's not like these viruses that we are experiencing today in
Yeah.
society, or it's a defense mechanism from the planet, from us. We have no predators as
Mm.
we had before.
Mm.
And we have 3-4 times the amount of people born, like being born every year, versus the amount of death. So the overpopulation is happening, and
Yeah.
we don't have that. So when it's, for me, it's a very mild uh, thing that is happening compared to what it could be, like
Mm.
the effects
The
of.
adjustment of the planet itself. Yeah. The adjustment the planet is taking through the virus. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which we're, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but not only the virus, but it's also like the big impact that, weather wise, uh,
Mm.
air,
Climate. Yeah.
soil, climate. It's
Mm.
something that we, in case we get conscious about it and really make a change, we will not survive as a species. I feel that the planet is much stronger than us, and that it will, like,
Yes. Wipe us
just us,
out. Yeah. There's a
unless
few people who, yeah,
we
I
can
think there's,
start living, and instead of like cleaning the land and cutting everything, if we start planting trees, regenerating the ecosystem,
mm.
and we can live in harmony with nature, and we can produce more than we consume, um, in communities, that we can support each other in our growth and awareness,
Mm.
and being able to be there for each other in good times and in tough
Yeah.
times.
So that
And
was always at the heart of what you wanted once you kind of discovered that indigenous people live differently.
I mean, it made sense, and not only indigenous people. You have like Quakers and different uh, group of people that they've been living in villages and in
Mm.
tribes for thousands of years, and it's recently that we went into this individualism into small families, and we expect that, you know, our partner will supply us with all the roles and all the functions that a village used to supply. So it's a very hard burden
Yeah.
in the relationships, because
Yes.
it's impossible that you could be everything. So, you know, it was a, you know, as well in 2001 there was a big economic crisis in Argentina. I wasn't there, but my family was, and I
Mm.
saw it from far. But pretty much economy collapsed. All the banks took the money. People were not allowed to get their money. Many banks, the foreigner banks, they took the baggage and left.
Yeah. And you
And
had to weigh the money. Wasn't that the story? Like kind of really kind of woke up the world, you know, that you don't count the bills anymore, but you had to weigh the money in just in order to make it some worth, yeah, or give it some
yeah,
worth. Yeah.
that was the case in some, if they were lucky enough that they had something to wait. But
Yeah.
many people, they had to get very creative, and they started like community gardens. They started bartering, like giving, oh, I give you my watch, you give me a piece of bread.
Mm.
uh, and so it was a very tough time, and that, you know, put me in the importance of being self-sufficient.
Mm.
And, you know, I started learning how to, and that time I was already living in Costa Rica in the middle of the jungle and growing my food, producing my energy, water. And I was in my early 20s,
Mm.
and I had like you know, I felt a freedom like I never felt before. It was like printing my own money. I didn't need money to live. Money was an extra,
Mm.
but all the basics, I had them covered.
Mm.
But what I didn't had at that time was community.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, growing food and supplying ourselves with water, with energy, having a shelter, it's not the more complicated stuff. Like creating community and living in a healthy community and be able to grow ourselves, you know, it's the most difficult part about uh, creating the village, dealing with the egos, dealing with our awareness, dealing with conflict, how
Mm.
if how to prevent conflict, if conflict arises, how to solve it.
Mm.
So it's those invisible structures that are so
Mm.
important in when you create a village, when you put a bunch of people that they don't know each other, and that we are not only different ages, different backgrounds, different experiences, and that, you know, like we have different levels of awareness, different sensitivities, different everything. So it's hard when you have like, and we didn't know each other. So
Yeah.
it was a challenge how to make it that these people that we were strangers, how we became very good friends and family feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, because it requires some sort of lead, doesn't it? And we're not used to have leaders within, but you know, leading from within instead of having the one leader. But if everybody is feels empowered to lead or kind of contribute to a community, then that can work. But we're not trained as this, and I suppose most of the people who came initially, you only have to, you as listener, you only have to click on the website to see what, you know, how beautiful that land is. Everybody is probably first of all attracted to what they can have, that nature is right at hand, and the freedom that it offers for the whole family to move around. And but maybe not so many are thinking around, what will it be like to have to contribute into this community, because community can only exist not if we become neighbors, like you kind of lived and experienced in that house in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. And we have to kind of communicate.
For sure, and it creates a lot of resistance if you force people to do anything. Here in EcoVilla, I set it up in a way, the legal structure is called condominium. And it's a subdivision where you own your lot.
Yeah.
And you can go and apply for a loan with the bank. You can rent it, sell it. It's your property. And then you are part owner of 70% of the land that are communal areas. You are part owner. And the only responsibility you have is to contribute with a monthly payment that we hire local workers to grow our food, maintain the roads, the swimming pool, the yoga, all the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But nobody's forced to do anything. So people feel very, they said, oh, I love it. I love the idea. I don't have anything. So the ones that are more introverts, that they don't want to participate, they don't want to open up, they don't have to. It's a choice, and nobody's forced to do anything. So it's an invitation.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. But that brings back my question to, what you were saying earlier, that you missed community in that setup. And so what does community mean to you then?
So community for me, it's, the opportunity for the the people to come together for a similar cause. The invitation here was that we can live in harmony with nature, with each other, and with ourselves.
Yeah.
So it pretty much, that's been evolving, and it is, whenever you said something like, oh, let's be a tribe, let's be a family, let's be friends, you can create resistance. But if you just, it's like saying someone putting an ad and saying, I want to fall in love right away. You're going to be the love of my life. People are going to go, like, this is like, we get to know each other, you create that. So in this invitation, we started offering women's circles, men's circles. We started having like a lot of activities with the kids. And what I created as a founder and developer of La EcoVilla is the container for that to happen. So, for example, here, because of ecological reasons and social reasons, people cannot have individual pools in their lot. There is one big communal swimming pool.
Okay.
So people go and gather there whenever they want to go. There is a yoga platform where people offer yoga, meditation, tai chi, qigong, many things. So everybody, we have a WhatsApp groups, and they said, we are doing this, and anyone that wants to join is welcome.
Yeah.
We are having a potluck. We are like, everybody, we get together for communal meals. We are going to hire a chef, and he's going to come and cook for us. So there are offerings all the time, a birthday party, ceremony, all kinds of activities that are offered, and people can choose if they want to participate or not. Nobody is forced to say, okay, you have to do this. So that gives a lot of, creates a non-resistant thing, because you're not forced to do anything. It's your choice. So people like slowly start, okay, I can go to this. They start making friends. They start interacting more,
Mm.
and it's a growing thing. It's not like saying, okay, from now on, like you have to come to every meeting, you have to meditate every day, you have to do this
Yeah.
or that. Um,
And that's
so whenever you start raising that vibration, people
mm.
that resonate with that, they will feel very good, very aligned, and they would like to live like this. The ones who don't, they just feel, okay, this is not the place for me, and they leave.
How big was the turn? How many years does EcoVilla exist at this point?
Around 9 years.
And how much stabilization have you, found in those 9 years? I suppose the system has to grow, so it kind of picks up on mistakes you make probably. So people move in, move out. My husband moved out, and
Yeah,
because of different reasons, for
sure.
different reasons. But that was always what I kind of got from the picture like Ovia is there is the possibility of community, and sometimes you don't know what you're purchasing into. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but you don't think that far, will I be happy not to leave the country for so many years because maybe I can't travel at the time, or am I happy to live there with no car? Maybe it's harder to get around, and get to the next amenities or to the next job you need to take on board. So there's a lot of things that come up when one decides to move into a community that is a little bit more remote like yours. So I assume there was a lot of turning points there as well. How do you find yourself after 9 years of building this?
I mean, here, like, when you put together so many different people, and many bought on pre-sales,
Hmm.
and they didn't know what was going to come out of this experiment. So for some, it wasn't what they expected, and they left. But many, for personal reasons, they have,
Yeah.
older parents, a job, a like
Yeah.
couple splitting,
Hmm.
someone like illness.
Hmm.
um, there are many, many, many things that happen in the process.
Yeah.
And as well, like, you have um, like like life itself, and how to support each other in a country that, like, for some people 10 years ago, it wasn't as easy in terms of remote working,
Yeah.
like having meetings in Zoom, or like it wasn't allowed, like it was like
Hmm.
this tele, like
The
um,
platforms and the teachings and the communication that has evolved. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it changed since COVID, all that, like,
Mm.
took another level, and working from home, it's the new
Yeah.
normal right now. It's like so
Yeah.
many people are doing it, and that would allow, like, we were the first residential project in Costa Rica to have fiber optic to the house, so that
Mm.
allowed everybody to be able to work with a good internet connection from home.
Mm.
So, like, there was rotation. There are many that we start from the beginning, and we are like that we are here from the beginning, and we are very happy.
Mm.
But here, like, there are no, like, I tell the people, we live next to a beautiful, powerful river that is called the Machuca River, and I tell everybody that that's our guru. Like,
Mm.
teach
Yeah.
us so much when you connect with it and you go there. But it's like we have no guru, no, like, a leader, in a way. Like, I was a founder developer, but now I'm one more neighbor here.
Mm.
I might have more knowledge about the systems or something that I can guide, because I know where the pipes are. But it's in
Mm.
terms of decision making or something, we all have a vote
Mm.
on how we make things, the things that are happening. And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I didn't know why. um, I try to follow the intuition and the
Mm,
steps and it needs to happen. And
mm,
I didn't even have a clear picture of what would
mm,
be or expectations. It was everything flowing and just going one step at a time. And everything started happen when the land showed up. People started showing up, and everything started flowing in a very beautiful and organic way.
mm,
And suddenly we had about 60 kids, and we had to start thinking about how we are going to educate them. And pretty much we said, like, if we want to see a change in the world, we cannot keep giving the same education we received that brought us here. How can we evolve this and something? And we
mm.
discovered some education that was developed in Ecuador by a Swiss German couple,
Yeah.
Mauricio and Rebecca Wild,
Mm-hmm.
that they created a center called Pestalozzi, was
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s. And it started as a Montessori, and then they started developing their own techniques and experiences. And over 30 something years, they
Mm,
came up with a great model. And three Ecuadorians that were working there from the beginning, they they were left without a job when they decided to close the school because they got too
mm-hmm.
old and didn't want to work anymore. So we created Casa Sula, that is a
Mm,
very uh, beautiful school in a, in a 220-hectare farm with the same river very close to La EcoVilla. It used to
mm,
be a petting zoo. So all the welcome center, a ticket office, gift shops, or something right now is our school, where there are no classroom, no teachers, no homework, no exams.
mm,
And you see the kids discovering and exploring like little scientists, and you see in their eyes every time they discover something by themselves that they really understand it, and it
mm,
stays with them for life. All the
mm,
materials, they can see it, touch it, feel it.
mm,
And that's how the neurological connections start happening. And it's a beautiful um, process. And we talk so much about free range food, free range this, and with the kids we keep them in the same
in the free
range.
range, yeah. Free range kids from San Mateo. I love it. That's good. Is there you actually answered the question that was there on my mind, when you have a vision like that, did you have a vision like that? And then or did it develop? And you already answered it in a sense that it developed itself. But when you got hold of the land, you must have kind of had a moment of, wow, am I doing this? Or was there never a doubt for you to move forward into it?
No, there was never a doubt. I was looking for land for a long time, and for one reason or another, it wasn't flowing.
Yeah.
And I at the time, um, when I was feeling it wasn't flowing, I said, okay, maybe it's not Costa Rica, maybe it is somewhere else. Maybe I'm not ready, and I have to learn more.
Mm,
And I proposed to my girlfriend at the time, um, proposed to get married,
mm,
and told her I want to go on a year long honeymoon around the world and
mm.
visit communities. So we took a backpack,
Yeah.
rented our apartment here in Costa Rica, and we went for a year visiting many we went to 30 something countries, and we
Wow.
visited many communities and seen what works, what didn't work, and why.
Mm.
Um, and it was a great experience, and also visit many other countries with the like looking if maybe that we found a place that we like better than
Mm.
in Costa Rica.
Mm.
We didn't find it. We came back, and after like a year or so, she got pregnant, um, and and when my son was born, it was an urge that I felt. Okay, I don't want him to grow in the city. I don't want him to grow in this environment. I want him to grow in contact with nature, with other kids, give him an alternative education, and it all came. And that we needed to have community because we couldn't be in the middle of nowhere with our kids. Like he wanted, they want other kids to play with. They want.
Yeah.
So it was a thing that at that moment, the land showed up. It was a group of investors from United States that bought a land in 2006, and in 2008, with the real estate collapse, that crisis, real estate crisis that came, it was the opportunity of being able to that they contribute the land into the project. So I didn't have to buy it or anything. They put up the land. I did pre-sales, and everything sold super fast. In a matter of months, all the families showed up that they believe in this dream. There was nothing to show, like
Yeah.
there were no infrastructure or anything. They say, okay, it's just a piece, like a drawing. This is the idea. Who wants in? And no advertisement. It was more like word of mouth, social media that people would share. And it happened really, really fast. And I didn't understand why at the moment, but it was for me, having, as soon as I finished building La EcoVilla, we were finishing building our house. It happened simultaneously, finishing all the infrastructure and finishing the house. And my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that moment, I understood the value of community. When you really have a tough moment in life, like and being away from family, being away from people that you might know, and sometimes this when these illnesses happen, some people get scared and they go away from your life when you need them the most.
Yeah.
But when you have community, they cannot escape, they
they were the prisoners to your support.
They live next door, and we had all the time support with her, with the kids. I had like all the men, we will come together every week. We will meet around the fire and share how we are feeling and supporting each other in that process. And it was so healing and so good to have that. And men, women, I don't know how it's in Germany, but like more Latin women, they are very, they can get together with their friends and scream and cry and show their emotions and it's totally acceptable. But we as men, we have to be tough. We don't feel, we don't do anything, just we are.
Yeah, you have to be the support system, you have to be the warriors. And I think that's another thing that is missing. Like you were talking about sustainability earlier, and also that openness in sharing. And I think a lot of people are seeking that. In Germany, I don't think there's a lot of trust around. I mean, there's obviously people that do allow each other to have that range of emotion with each other in friendships, but I don't think it's a common thing, at
No,
least
it's
not.
a common thing. And if you go out with a friend, let's go and have a beer.
Yeah.
You are not gonna start like crying or
No.
telling him something very deep and
Yes,
say, "Oh,
exactly.
like
Yes. Yes.
it will be that." But when you know you have that space and it's a safe container that
Mm,
everything that's shared there is stays there,
mm,
and you have your friends that are there to support you not only in that moment but the rest of the week, it's
mm,
really priceless. And you know, right after, like 1 or 2 months after COVID started, my wife died. um, and having the community around was the most amazing like way that that could happen.
mm.
There was so much love and respect for the space. For every day with my boys, we will open, I have two small boys, and we will open the door, and there was a buffet waiting for us, of
Oh.
everybody bringing food and
Mm,
just leaving food outside. Not like
mm,
they made a beautiful ceremony, and it was very moving and touching. And part of, I see my kids and myself that we feel so good and everything of having that support system around, with the school, with the kids, with the adults, and everything that happens
mm,
around.
mm.
And that's when I understood, okay, this is why I was guided to do what it is. And
Mm,
it became everybody that comes and visit EcoVilla and
mm,
are here for a few weeks or something, I feel that when they share, suddenly, like all the family sitting around the fire, sharing stories and singing, it brings something to the cellular memory,
yeah.
that they say, oh wow, this is how we we should live,
Yes.
how we are used to
Yeah.
live. This is the
Yeah.
right.
Mm,
And and there is a big longing from many of having that community, having that connection with nature, and that allows you so much to
mm.
connect to yourself to a much deeper level.
Yeah.
And
That's the point, right? We cannot just want to live in nature, but it requires us to go much deeper and within, because otherwise we're trying to have the cake and eat it, in a
for sure,
sense. And I do believe in what you say very strongly. That's also a sense of my podcast, that idea of campfire stories. Nothing is wrong, nothing is right. Everybody has a story that can fuel somebody else, that can inspire someone else. And thank you so much for offering your story, and my deepest condolences to your wife's passing. May she travel lightly wherever she is gone to. And yeah, maybe to finish off, is there something that you want to say to the listener that you feel they could hear or should hear before we close off?
it's I feel it's very important. And like, life is too short, and we all have dreams. And it's really important to make them happen sooner than later. It's like, so many of us, we dream about living in communities or something, and we don't have the courage to start. But there are many places that are happening and they are starting. And
Mm,
uh, I'm developing more eco villages right now in Costa Rica, but there are
mm,
many that are happening around the world. And
mm,
I want to create this container for more magic to happen. When you put people that resonate and vibrate in a similar vibration, you start keep raising it, and you can support each other in achieving those dreams much easier. The
Mm.
networking that happens, the whatever piece of the puzzle you are missing, it can be fulfilled when you have a community like that, and it
Yeah.
takes the whole experience to another level.
Yes.
And
Yeah, exactly.
it's
It's something family doesn't provide any longer. We do provide as immediate family, but as you said, we got so distorted and isolated and individualistic, and obviously also some of the elders don't, they don't find it possible to share what they need to share their wisdom, but they're becoming more the ruler in the household because it's all so frazzled and fractured. So we all are looking for a different form of family at this point, I think, or most of us.
yeah, it's and it's so wonderful to see. Some older elders are attracted because they don't want to feel, they feel young, having young families or young people around and having kids, and they might not have grandkids, but they
Yeah.
come here and they have that experience. And the kids, they love to have the elders, they're in their lives, and single parents as well. Like it's a great environment
Mm.
to have others to support you in that journey,
Mm.
and having that love and support all around, and having
Mm.
that the kids, even when even if they're one, having so many other kids that are like their cousins living next door, and they grow
Yeah.
like family. All the kids, they have a very, you see the little ones playing with the olders, like, and it's so touching and moving that it's beautiful to see and experience.
Yeah. So if anybody is listening and dying to come, do you have spaces available?
Not now, but they will be.
No.
They will be very soon.
Mm.
But they can write on the website like EcoVilla.com, and they can send them information when
Yeah,
it happens. So
brilliant. Well, best of luck with growing that community into deeper and deeper healing and connection. And again, thank you so much for your time,
thank
Marcelo.
you for having me. Pleasure talking to you and meeting you.
Yes. Bye. And thank you, dear listener. Tune back in next week for the next show. Bye.